Today on Family Matters.
He wants nanny, he doesn't want mummy.
I only love nanny, not you.
It just makes me feel like breaking down and crying.
I love nanny the best, 'cause I hate mummy.
He just goes on, and anything I said, it just, as if he's possessed, his like eyes go all glazy.
It's not personal. Toddlers live in their own bubble. Me, myself and I. As long as you can put in what they need, they thrive. They thrive. What's the but all the time? I'm telling you what your son needs and you're giving me buts.
Yeah, but I know what he needs.
Then why aren't you doing it?
Anything that I'll ask him to do, he'll either ignore me or he'll say, I'll do it in a minute. In a minute never comes. He loses his temper a lot over the slightest little thing.
Who pays for all the bills?
I do.
Pays for all the food, everything. You take care of everything. So he doesn't pay rent, no housekeep, contribute towards anything financially. It's not okay, my love. Control your temper and your anger. Are you willing to accept that help? Welcome to the show. My first guest, Jodie, contacted us for help with her 4-year-old son, Bailey. Grandmother Helen says that Bailey is constantly staying at her house because Jodie cannot control his disruptive, violent outbursts.
I'm Helen. I'm Bailey's nanny, Joe's mum. The problem really started a couple of weeks ago. We put him in the car to take him home, and all the way home he's like, nanny, 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 nanny. Really, really upset.
Come and knock on the door.
He hasn't been back since.
When my mum tries to drop him home, he'll kick off straight away. When my mum goes, he'll still be kicking off for absolutely ages. I don't want him to live with my mum. He's my son. I want him to live with me.
It's not normal for Nan and Grandad to be looking after their grandson and him not wanting to go home.
Go home with mum?
I think Jodie relies on us a little bit too much.
We'll see Nanny again later, okay?
There are things that she could do for herself.
He wants Nanny, he doesn't want mummy.
I only love nanny, not you.
It just makes me feel like breaking down and crying. I wish like my own son would be happy when I go pick him up from school, like it should be.
Together, they're both not happy, and I don't know what to do to put the situation right.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Welcome. I think I'm going to start here first and take me right back to when you had little Bailey and when he started to go and take visits.
Well, we started off, you lived with us, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I lived with Mum up until Bailey was 6 months.
Right, OK.
Then I got my own flat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It weren't really when he was a baby it was started. It was like,
yeah.
I'd say up until he was like, I don't know, I'd say 10 to 13 months. That's how I remember my Bailey.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I don't know, that's when I feel like our bond has been broken.
So between 13 months, you were then into your own apartment, is that right?
Yeah.
So you're living there, little one, 13 months, and you moved into your house and you're living very near, aren't you?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
To Jodie, you're very,
5 minutes, yeah.
5 minutes walk, just very, very near.
Yeah.
So let's start from literally being 5 minutes down the road. What was your involvement then?
Well, when Jodie got the flat, in a way it was relief because she was right over the other end of town and we spent our life back and forth further. So at least being nearer, we didn't have so far to travel.
Yes.
And initially when Jo moved, the overnight stays stopped. She was actually happy and it was lovely to see. They were a happy little family again.
Yeah.
But gradually, things started to get worse again where Bailey would have these tempers, Jodie couldn't control him.
When was the first time, literally, that Bailey started to stay over at yours to the point where you realised, hold on a minute, this is a little bit more than a grandparent would be doing?
The first time was last year. So, I'd been round to Joe's and there was a neighbour at the door worried about the noise and if there was anything he could do. Bailey wasn't very well and all I could hear was Jodie and Bailey, they were shouting at each other.
Yeah.
And Bailey had been throwing things and Jodie was worried about Demi and that at the time. Well, I just didn't know what to do. So the first thing I goes, right, get his stuff, I'm taking him. it was just a situation
You'd never seen
I
him
couldn't
like
diffuse.
it before,
No,
either.
not like that.
So in the meantime, you had another child.
Yeah, Demi, yeah.
Little Demi. And how old was she when the first tantrum started to become overwhelming, the one that you saw? How old was Demi then?
About a year. And it's only been the last 5 weeks
Yeah.
that it's crept up to this level. It's been with me for nearly 5 weeks now.
5 weeks?
Yeah.
Let's just go to the tape. 5
Yeah.
weeks.
Bailey's behaviour here is mostly good, but when Jodie's here, it's a whole new drama.
That's the time I dread each day. He doesn't even want to speak to me.
No.
And he'll lash out at me, he'll kick me, he'll punch me.
No.
He's even split my lip.
I hate you.
He swears at her and says, I want Nanny.
I only love Nanny, not you.
She may miss a few bits. I just think, Joe, get off your phone. There's other things going on. She'd nip things in the bud if she was actually in the room.
I love Nanny the best, 'cause I hate Nanny.
Repeats it all the time, I hate you, Mum.
Go away, I hate you. Go away, I hate you. I hate you. Hate you. Go
I
away.
used to say to him, it makes me feel really sad inside when you say that, Bailey. How it makes Mummy feel inside when you tell me you hate me. But he doesn't care.
Go away, leave me alone.
It makes me feel like a failure. And sometimes I think, why do I bother doing nice things for you? Because you're never going to like me, you always hate me. I'm at breaking point, I don't know what to do anymore.
Do you feel like he hates you?
Yeah.
But looking at the tape, though, he doesn't want to be around you.
No.
He wants to be with his
That's what it's like the past
Nana.
5 weeks. But before that, we'd go around my mum's, say for dinner or something, we'd go home and he'd accept that we're going home. And that was fine.
What do you do with him in the home? Like, how do you connect with him? How do you stay attached to him?
It varies day to day and it depends what mood he's in. Like, we've got games and stuff in his cupboard in his room, but they're very rarely played with because he doesn't want to do it.
What, but he just tells you he doesn't want to do it?
Yeah.
But you never go beyond that and get it out and just...
I have before, and sometimes it just gets flung or things like that.
And how do you respond to that?
Sometimes I'll sit him down and say to him, you can't do that, I just wanted to play with you, we can play together. Or
So you try and reason with him?
Yeah, I try to reason with him, or sometimes I just ignore it. I've tried different methods, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work.
Right. What's lacking that Jodie needs to hear from you?
Control. Obviously, she's got to gain control again.
I agree with that,
That's
though.
the main
I do agree
thing.
with that.
But it's learning the skills to gain that control and the confidence. She's lost confidence with him now because of she's been rejected from him. I think sometimes she does feel like there's a brick wall, and sometimes I think Jodie's had enough and can't be bothered because it's just negative.
Is there some of that? You know, are there times when you just can't be bothered and you just think, I'll give up?
No, sometimes I am like that, yeah, I will admit to that, but half of it is because Demi, it's like if I try and respond to him, try and help him, sometimes it makes him worse. It's
Yeah,
like a few weeks ago...
But why would you need to be on the sofa with the phone? Like, why not just sit there and just look at him and watch him? Why be on the phone?
Because if I watch him, it just gives me a horrible feeling in my belly because I can't stop him. I don't want to watch him do it because I can't do anything to control it and it makes me feel horrible.
So he has a temper tantrum. You don't know how to control that temper tantrum, so then it makes you disconnect.
Sometimes, yeah, but sometimes when he's having a temper, I can see when he's getting to a certain point. With him, I know him like the back of my hand. And sometimes I know if his tempers, if I go step in at the right time, that he'll stop. But sometimes it's got past that point. Say I'm busy doing something with Demi and I can't go straight to him at that point. If I've missed that point, then that's it. There's no point because he will just carry on for ages. He has I call it his black thunder. He just goes on, and anything I said, it just, as if he's possessed. His eyes go all glazy, and there's nothing that can get him out of it until he's stopped himself.
Still to come on Family Matters.
What's the but all the time? I'm telling you what your son needs, and you're giving me buts.
Yeah, but I know what he needs.
Then why aren't you doing it? Your partner, Tony. Obviously, he spends a lot of time with Bailey
Yeah.
and having fun with him.
Sometimes, or sometimes Tony's just sat at the computer and Bailey will come along and annoy him and things like that. But just general banter and stuff they do together, yeah.
I'd like to meet him. Let's watch some tape.
I'm Bailey's granddad and Jodie's stepdad. Jodie and Bailey love each other, but there's a problem in between that needs to be resolved. She needs to calm her stress levels down.
Don't hit. We all live here together. No, if you're going to kick me, I'm going to walk away from you, Bailey.
She does rely on us quite a lot to help out with the kids.
Nanny will come back later, won't she?
As long as he's outside doing activities, he's fine. It's when he's stuck indoors and he can't go nowhere. And when he asks, the word is no. I've got to stand there and say, OK, I'll do it, because she's got no one else. I hope Jodie does find someone that's going to be loving towards her as well as the two little ones, because that's what she needs at the moment. And we're not always going to be around. But I know she has got a heart of gold. She is such a lovely person. She really is. And so is he. I've got to do it.
Welcome, Tony, welcome.
Thank you.
We were just watching some tape and, of course, so take a tissue. See, obviously it's got you emotional. What's your heart feeling?
I just think that Jodie does need some help. They both need help. They're both loving people. She's a good mum. She's got two lovely little children. And I feel sorry for Jodie because, I mean, she's on her own. She's got two little kids. She doesn't have a lot of money to take them out to places. I've tried to take them to football matches, you know, football training and that sort of thing. And I just find that, you know, there is a problem, an underlying problem for both of them.
But take away not having cash, because times are hard right now, full stop. Take away the weather, because if it's drizzling, you get out with a coat on and a pair of wellies and just get out, you know, when it's just spitting and drizzling. Yeah. Take away that, because we live in a country where it's always raining, OK? You've got your space at home, you have your home, and when you can get out, you can get out and you make the most of it. What do you think really Jodie needs to learn that you see and observe that she's not quite got the knack of yet?
I think, I've seen it, is when the word no comes into action. And when she says no to Bailey, Bailey just stands there and starts going into one edge and starts throwing things. Because he's such an active little boy. He's 4 years old, and he's got so much energy that he wants to use up during the day, that when he's been told, no, I'm not going out, or we're not going to do this, he doesn't like it. I think that's part of the reason.
Frustration.
Frustration, yeah.
I wouldn't agree with it, though. I really wouldn't. It's like, you two have been having him, and the way he is with you two is totally different to me. Like, you've got the garden and everything. I haven't got that. He can just go out and do the football. I can't just let him go do that.
There's a park just up the road from you, Jo.
Yeah, I do know that, Tony.
But when you did have a garden, you wouldn't let him in it.
Yeah, because the garden was a state. He did used to go out. You're making me out bad.
No,
That's
you're
how
not
I
bad.
feel.
You're a lovely mum,
You're not
honestly.
bad. We're not
Yeah,
saying
you're
that.
like saying I never take him out of things, but I do. And you're like, he's kept inside all the time, but he's not. And you say he kicks off because he's inside. But when I do take him out, he kicks off out as well. It's wherever I am with him, he kicks off.
Why is it so hard to hear what Tony had to say? Because, you know, he got emotional when he watched the tape. And it, you know, it takes courage for everybody to be honest.
Yeah.
Here as a family. Why did it automatically get your back up? Like, why did you feel quite defensive?
Because they're not me, they don't understand. If they was me, they'd understand how it feels. But they don't.
Understand what feels?
To feel rejected by him so much all the time.
I met him earlier. Take a look at the tape. Hi, I'm Jojo. Hello, pleased to meet you. Hi. So I heard that Grandad and Nanny live near you. Is that right? So do you go over to Nanny and Grandad's house? Yeah? What do you do over there?
Play.
You like to play over there? Yeah? And what does Nanny play with you when you go over?
Nothing.
Like, what about Grandad?
Take me over to play football.
Yeah? That's why you're so good at football.
I can boot it.
You can boot it. Not in here, though. And what about when you're at Mummy's house, when you're at your own home? What do you do there?
Play in my bedroom.
You play in your bedroom. OK. Now, Mummy says that sometimes you get really cross because you don't want to be at your house. You want to be at Nanny and Grandad's. Is that true? You do? Why is that?
So I love Nanny and Grandad.
You love Nanny and Grandad to pieces. Well, what games do you play with Mummy at the house?
No.
Nothing? Bye, darling. Nice to meet you. That's who your little boy is. That's exactly who he is. That's the child you need to remember who he is when he's having a temper tantrum because he's either bored or not let off enough steam or can't get his own way. Give me 2 things that you feel that your daughter right now, and tell your daughter 2 things that she needs to do because it's blatantly the honest truth, but I don't want you walking on eggshells.
Right, me first. Right, I expect you, as a mum, to take him out when he wants to go out without saying no.
That's the first one.
Secondly, when you're at home or in our house, instead of sitting on your phone and Bailey wants his backside wiped, you say, I'll do it in a minute.
No, I'm going to stop you there because I will prove a point with Mum. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you, Mum? You can say.
No, I don't want Mum to say, you say. This is about having a healthy conversation and being truthful.
When we was round Mum's a few weeks ago, I was eating my dinner and I ate it slowly on purpose, so Mum would wipe his bum.
Yeah, but why expect your mum to do it all the time?
No, you need to listen to hear the end of it. And then I think it was about a week later or something. It was when you was at work, me, Demi, Mum and Bailey were there. Bailey went to the toilet again and he wanted Mum to wipe it. Mum was busy and I said, no, Bailey, I'm doing it. I done it, and what did he make himself do? He had a temper and he made himself sick and he got into a right state, didn't he? Because I wiped his bum. So it's not that I can't be bothered to do it. I ate my dinner slowly a few weeks ago on purpose because I know what was going to happen. I proved my point to Mum.
We didn't know that. We was all taking the mickey out of her.
You just thought I was being lazy, but I wasn't being lazy.
No. Well, actually, quite frankly, you was being lazy, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he is your son, and if he needs to go to the toilet and he needs you to assist him, then it's not about eating your dinner slowly and waiting for your mum to wipe his bottom. It's about you getting up from the table and actually you assisting your child to go to the bathroom. Because the reality is when you step back and you allowed Nanny to do it, that's what he wanted again. That's what he wanted again. You set that up. You actually set it up by not going and actually helping him when he actually needed the help, when he needed the assistance. You sat back on purpose, you let Nan step in, that's what he got used to, or Nan did it, now I want Nan to do it again. You set yourself up for failure. You actually set yourself up there. Whereas what you should have done, what any parent would have done, is turn around and said, my kid, don't worry, Nan, I'll go up, I'll sort him out, I'll do it. It's your kid. It's your kid. It's not their kid. They've had their kids. They've had their kids. It's your job. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility. Number 1. OK, number 2, Tony. You said the first thing that you feel...
It's about taking him out.
About taking him out.
Yeah.
Even if it's only 5 minutes down the park. He would love it. It'd go for miles in the field, kicking the ball about. He'd lose a bit of his stress levels there if he's trying to get out of the house, climbing walls. Would it be for you a good idea to leave here thinking, look, he's a young lad,
He needs to get out. He's obviously very active. You realise he's a very active child.
Yeah,
like, he needs to let off the steam.
He's always been very active.
To create a routine that would allow him to be able to let off that steam so that he actually could do that consistently and know that he was on a promise with his mum that actually that was going to happen, that there would be an outlet. So he recognises that that good time doesn't just happen when he's over at his grandparents, that it is part of his day, because every child needs to let off their energy. They have to let off their steam, you know, and that means that you have to go beyond the house sometimes because you only have a certain amount of space.
Yeah.
Are you open to that?
Well, yeah, of course I'm open to it, but...
No buts. What's the but all the time? I'm telling you what your son needs and you're giving me buts.
Yeah, but I know what he needs.
Then why aren't you doing it?
Because sometimes it is hard to do it.
That's not enough. That's not good enough excuse.
Still to come on Family Matters.
You just cannot use an excuse, well, I have another one. I see women all the time
No,
at the park with twin babies and a couple of toddlers, and they get out because they know what their children need.
But it's easy for my mum and stepdad to sit there and do it because they're not in my situation.
No, what do you mean they're not in your situation?
They're
They
not.
were in your situation.
They don't have Demi as well.
We're here to support you.
You don't have Demi as well.
We're also there for Demi. You know we are. We're always there for you lot.
I'm not saying you're not there for Demi,
Demi
but
comes
you
to our
don't...
house if you want to go out. We're always there.
You don't have Demi as well. You don't...
You cannot, you just cannot use an excuse, because it is an excuse, to say, well, I have another one. I see women all the time at the park with twin babies and a couple of toddlers, and they get out because they know what their children need. And as a parent, you have to give your kids what they need. Otherwise, what happens is that when they're cooped up indoors, they get frustrated. They've got all this energy. They don't know what to do with it. They're frustrated that you're not giving them the outlets, and then they misbehave. And when they misbehave, they become destructive. And when they become destructive, you feel not in control. And when you don't feel in control, then they end up at your grandparents. And when they end up at your grandparents and they do it, why would he even want to come home? Because I wouldn't. If I was Bailey, I wouldn't want to come home.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I didn't mean because I've got Demi, I can't take him to the park. What I mean is I want to find something that they can both do. I want to think... Not just for Bailey, but for Demi as well. But
you can't. There are some things in life, OK, and this will help you. You have a young little girl, OK, and you have an older boy. And sometimes Bailey will need to realise that he's going to have to sit beside you because you're going to be doing something with Demi. And sometimes Demi's going to realise that actually that's going to have to be the same with Bailey. Because they're both going to have to learn how to share you. It's not personal. When he says, I hate you, Mummy, he doesn't hate you, Mummy. He loves you, Mummy. He just don't like that he doesn't do in this house what he does in this house. It's not personal. Toddlers live in their own bubble. It's me, myself and I, you know? Can I
That's
have you...
That's a lovely thing to say. That's true.
They do. They live in their own bubble. I'd like to say something that I think would be important moving forward. You need structure, OK? He needs to look forward to what's happening the next day. All right? He needs to know that. So you need to really create a routine that has the cornerstones in with respects to, you know, his meal times, his early development.
Set in place meal times at the same time every day.
Okay, well, the outlets he needs, the creativity, the imagination, the early learning toys for him, you know, in the mornings, in the afternoons, and that needs to be consistent. He needs to trust that you will give him what he needs. And the way he trusts that is through the routine, and that gives him stability, and he feels safe because he knows every day what to expect. He knows it's coming. So you have to give him those opportunities. You ask any toddler, you know, why does my mum love me? Well, she loves me because she makes ham and cheese sandwiches. My mum loves me because she takes me to the park. My mum loves me because, you know, that's how toddlers think. You know, that's why he's saying, oh, that's my mum and dad. You need to create that. If we put the healthy boundary in place where you can just come over as nanny and granddad and not feel. So if you see it, you might support your daughter by saying, oh, I don't know if you noticed that, but, you know, that would be a good idea to do. Let her do it. you know? And then if they come over to yours, literally the kids come over, and if you're looking after them, then it's at your house and it's regulated. But it does need to cut right back. Right back. He's going to scream, I want to go nannies, nannies. I know you do. This is how you validate it. I know that you do want to go over, but actually, every Wednesday afternoon, that's when you'll go over to nanny and granddad's. And today we're going off to the park. I don't want to go to the park. Oh, I want to see nanny and granddad. Wednesday, but we're going to the park. Get your coat on, come on, and off you go. Ignore it. It's not personal, Jodie. It's not personal. Toddlers live in their own bubble. Me, myself, and I. And as long as you can put in what they need, they thrive. They thrive. Makes sense. Makes sense. Shaking your head. You're shaking your head. Why?
No, it's not about Bailey. I'm not shaking my head about Bailey.
What are you shaking your head about then?
I don't know. I just feel a bit of fakeness from Tony. That's how I feel.
In what way?
Because
Be honest with that.
I don't know. It's like the things with taking Bailey out and things like that, and the way you are with him, you lose your temper with him.
I do.
Yeah, but you paint like a perfect picture, but you lose your temper with him. You don't always take him up when he asks you to. You don't always do that. You sometimes say no.
But he's grandparent, not dad.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he is dad, but he's saying these things, and when he has been with you, even though he should have been with me, the things you're saying to me, you haven't been doing them, so I find that a bit patronising.
Well,
All right, I'll give it. All right, I'll say one thing. Yeah, I haven't been well recently. Yeah, so
I'm not on about when he wasn't well.
Well, you tell me when, please.
There's like a few occasions when you've promised to take him over to the field and then you go back on it and then you wind him up because you've gone back on it. You feel it's OK to do that and to wind him up when it's not OK to wind him up. Or when you do certain little things to wind him up, you laugh, and I say, oh, don't do that to him. You laugh and you do it again.
That's the annoying side of Tony.
Yeah, but sometimes it does really upset him and you just laugh and wind him up even more. And sometimes when he was just at home with me, when I've come round after school or whatever, and when you've been winding up and doing certain situations, it then makes things harder for me, and you don't understand. You think it's funny when it's not funny. And like when
sometimes, I mean, you know, in all honesty,
I do sometimes wind him up, but then I think because I've had him with us for so long, it's part of the family, isn't it? Really, everyone says everybody winds everybody up, Joe.
Well, if this is what I'm going to say to you, if you come from that, where you have a little play with him, and you're winding up, and you're just harmlessly teasing.
Yeah.
All I would say is that when it gets to the point that it starts to show like it's upsetting him, that's when you really would need to stop, because maybe the way you were raised, or your friends, your family,
I come from 7, so I mean, I'm the youngest out of 7.
So then there was a lot of hard knock teasing. Yeah. But that's not the situation here.
No,
so sometimes, sometimes it's a situation where, you'll start off to play, and there's a difference between him hearing what the truth is and getting funny about it, or maybe it took it too far. And again, that's just a boundary, Tony, that you'd have to learn yourself. So if you start to see that he gets really upset by it...
He's quite boisterous, that's what he does kick out. He does have a good old kick, doesn't he?
If he loves a laugh and you're having a laugh,
we'll have a
and then it just goes a little bit too far, where all of a sudden, like, now it's gone too far, that's when you need to pull the reins in. Like, it's just knowing when you've taken it a little bit too far. Really, at the end of the day, the bottom line is your parents are not Bailey's parents. They're not. And you do have to step up.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here and accept the excuses, because an excuse means nothing gets done. Yeah. When you want to do something, you'll do it. And when you don't, you'll find an excuse. It is as simple as that.
I do agree
it really
with that,
is.
Yeah.
A lot of single mums will say to me, sometimes I'm like, go to the park, I'm going to be on my own, go to the park because that's what the kids need. It's what the kids need. You have to push past that hurdle, put the boundaries in place, create the routine, put the outlets in, the early learning education, the activities, the creativity in the afternoon, and you will see a different child. You will see a different child.
I hope so.
I know so. I can sit here confidently and tell you that. But if you don't do the work, you don't get the results. You have to put in. You have to put in. You have to put in. So, will we go home and make some changes?
Oh, yes.
Where do we begin? Does Bailey go back home to Mum?
Absolutely.
Home.
Absolutely. It's your son. So, where do we start? As you're the mother of Bailey, where do we start?
I don't know, we'll go home and then I need to get back into routine.
Yes, yes.
Because me and Demi are out of routine at the minute as well. We need to get in routine, all three of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what, Jodie, you can do it.
Well, yeah, I know. It's just...
Yeah.
It's like the parking things, I am guilty of being lazy because it's got cold and that. In the summer and stuff, I did take him all because the park is only around the corner.
Just get him out for a walk then. Just get him out for a walk. Even if it's just down the road because you've got to pick something up from the shop, just get out. Otherwise, they just get chicken cooped, OK?
No, because I feel like that as well myself because it's only a small flat.
Just get out.
Yeah.
Just get out then.
No, yeah.
We're going to do this moving forward.
Well, yeah, of course.
All right, then.
Yeah.
That's a done deal, then.
Still to come on Family Matters.
He loses his temper a lot over the slightest little thing.
It's not OK, my love. Control your temper and your anger. Are you willing to accept that help? Welcome back. My next guest contacted the show for help with her 16-year-old son, Jacob. Carla says her son is aggressive, selfish and spends all day in the house doing nothing. And she even feels scared of going home at times for the fear of what she will walk into.
I'm Carla, I live in Selby. I've got 3 children. I've got Zoe, who's 21, and I have Jacob, who's 16, and Phoebe, that's 9. I'm a single parent, and I've been on my own for the last 7 years. My problem is my relationship with my son. He loses his temper a lot over the slightest little thing. As I said, had you washed up when I asked you to, I could have put tea on earlier. I'm not shutting up, no.
Shut up.
He'll throw things, such as the chair I'm sitting on. He'll throw the chair across the room, swear in my face. He's smashed a stool. He'll just throw the Xbox remote across the room, shout, scream, he'll push me out the way. I need you to do the hall.
I'll do it later after I've finished replying to this.
Since 9
After I've
o'clock
replied
this
to I
morning.
have not replied.
Anything that I'll ask him to do, he'll either ignore me or he'll say, I'll do it in a minute. And in a minute never comes.
I'll do it in my own time. Go on.
No, do the hall. I want you
Not
to do
this
the hall.
second.
Yeah, I want you to do the hall now. You've had all day to watch
Yeah, I'll do it after
No,
I've
you
replied
won't
to
do
this.
it. No, you won't. It's like a war zone sometimes. I'll not want to come home from work. Or I'll come home from work and if I can see that the gate's open and I know he's out, it's like I breathe a sigh of relief. And yeah, I'd like to walk in and, be happy to be home and be happy to see him, and see him happy. He's not happy at the moment.
Welcome. Not a good place to be.
No.
Where you go to work and you're actually fearful of coming home.
Yeah. It's the arguments. Usually, as soon as I step in the door, there will be an argument about something. Or I'll have asked him to do something, and he'll still be sat in his pyjamas playing on his game.
So you said that like he kicks off for the slightest of things. Give me what those slightest things are.
I'll ask him to move a cup that he's used, or ask him to just wash up, or just get dressed, and he will just shout and scream and refuse to do it, basically.
So when did this all start?
He's always had a temper from being little. He's always thrown things and shouted, but it's got worse since he left school because he won't go to college. He doesn't want to go to college. He says he wants a job, but he won't go to training to get a job. It did get to a point when he was
14 and he was getting in trouble at school.
Right.
He did go and live with his dad for a few years because he would listen to his dad. And once he got taller than me, he was like, I'm not doing what you say, you can't make me.
So you feel that he felt stronger and taller than you in height?
Yeah, and he felt like you can't do anything, you can't stop me, so, yeah.
So what made him feel that when he went to his father's, he had to buck his ideas up and do as he was told?
Because he wouldn't get away with that with his dad, you know. There's no way he could, like, push his dad out of the way if he wanted to go out, you know. If his dad said, you're not going, he knew he wasn't going.
So when did he come back then from his dad's and start living at yours?
16.
Right,
he was 16, when he left school.
And he's how old now?
Last June. He's 16 now, he'll be 17 in June.
Right, so he's just come back just under a year?
Yeah, yeah.
OK, and that's when he started throwing his weight around?
Yeah, more so worse the last 6 months.
Who pays for all the bills?
I do.
OK. Pays for all the food, everything, you take care of everything?
Yep,
okay.
Everything.
So he doesn't pay rent, no housekeep, contribute towards anything financially, and he doesn't contribute?
He's got no money coming in, so, you know.
But does he contribute in any other ways?
No.
OK, let's go to tape.
Why are you kicking off?
Are you stupid? Put the nose in your business, do I?
He wants to sit at home and not have to contribute to anything in the house.
In a minute.
Do it now.
It's got to do with you. Nothing, so shut up. Keep your massive nose out.
My relationship with Zoe is very good. We're very close. She sticks up for me more. So if Jacob isn't listening to me, she will try and butt in and tell him what to do.
I do see where she comes from, because she's been cleaning all day. She shouldn't really want to come home and do it again. But I don't know, it's just laziness.
Again and clean your own house after you've been doing it all day at other people's houses.
Yeah.
It's nice to, you know, sit down and relax, not do your job all over again for free.
If I suggest to him that he just tidies up his things or washes up what he's used, he will either say, I'll do it in a minute, and then for like 3 hours not bother, or he'll kick off massively.
I'll do it in my own time. Go on.
No, do the haul. I want you
Not
to
this
do the haul.
second.
Yeah, I want you to do the haul now. You've had all day to wash
Yeah,
up.
I'll do it after
No,
I've
you
applied
won't
to
do
this.
it. No, you won't.
He's just constantly in your face, screaming, shouting, doesn't listen to anybody else.
Just if someone keeps having a go at me, it just annoys me that much. I just kind of hit the roof and go mental, throw stuff about.
If I'm here without my mum, then I'm totally not welcome in this house at all.
I do feel like the odd one out quite a lot, because I'm not a girl.
It's just kind of unbearable, really, because it's just constant.
Welcome. Glad to see you here. Whilst we were watching tape and just catching up on what goes on in the family, your brother has been watching, and it's very overwhelming for him. And I think he's seen a few things that have made him very, very upset. He's very anxious to come and join us here. I think he's a little bit worried about what's going to be said and, you know, who's going to say what, you know, and he's feeling anxious. That's all I can say. He's really feeling anxious. He's got very emotional. He's very upset. But I don't want to miss this opportunity for us to come together and actually resolve these issues. So what I'm going to ask of you both is that we actually go into the family room, and if we can go into the family room and actually have that conversation instead of here, then hopefully we can get somewhere. Okay, so will you join me in there?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi. All right. Feel a little bit more comfortable? Yeah? Okay, so look, I'm going to literally just perch on here. Okay? There we go. Feeling okay? Feeling more comfortable? If you're not, let me know, okay? Now, I know you've got kids, right? You've got a little one?
I've got a little boy.
Oh, you've got a little boy?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you come around, what do you think needs to change?
I think the anger is the main thing, because it is quite violent in the verbal sense. and obviously things are being thrown about as well. It's not a good environment. Do you know what Phoebe does when you kick off and scream and shout? Because when I was there the other week, when you started shouting, she ran straight upstairs to her room, and when I went upstairs, she was hiding in her room because she's scared of you. And
she is scared of you when you're shouting. She is.
Can I ask you a question? You know that you get aggressive. You know that you get angry. Where's the anger coming from? You don't know why you get angry. What makes you angry?
Anything can really.
You've got to be accountable for that behaviour and recognise that and know that to change it. Let's look at some more tape. Look, I just want you to look. Turn over here. Let's take a look.
He's constantly complaining that he can't go anywhere, can't do anything, he don't have a social life. And yeah, when we suggest he looks for a job, he kicks off and just, he says he's trying, or he'll go on a job website, and the second it's got an application form or he has to get a CV together, he starts kicking off, saying, I can't do it, what's the point, I'm just not going to do it anymore.
He does have dyslexia and he struggled with that. So it didn't matter how much help they offered, he believed in his head that he couldn't do it, and I think it's affected his self-esteem really.
And he's had it drilled into him that he's stupid and that he don't know what he's doing, and it don't matter if he tries because he's just going to fail anyway.
It's like a war zone sometimes. I'll not want to come home from work, or I'll come home from work and if I can see that the gate's open and I know he's out, it's like I breathe a sigh of relief because I know there's not going to be conflict as soon as I walk in the house.
I think if it carries on, me and Mum have spoken about it, and if it does carry on much longer, or if Jacob's outbursts do turn to physical violence, then she's going to have no choice but to throw him out.
We can't continue as we are.
When you listen to that, what do you think? What's your thoughts? If you want to be under your mum's roof, okay, Jacob, seriously, listen to me. If you want to be living with your mum under this roof, okay, because you're not 18 and you're not out there, okay, holding down your own job in your own apartment, doing your own things, it means it's your mum's rules, okay? It means that you should learn how to respect the home that you live in, okay? No more mum picking up stuff. You can wash it yourself. You can wash your own stuff up and you can take turns in washing everybody else's stuff, because it's not each and every one to themselves. It's about family and all of you doing it together. Your mum makes sure you have a roof over your head, you have food in your stomach, you have clean clothes, you have a bed to sleep in. You know why? Because she loves you and it's her responsibility. You are her responsibility. I'd like to make a compromise, though, with those jobs. Instead of saying you've got to do it right now, because you obviously have difficulty with authority, there's obviously a resistance, and I think that comes from an overbearing, domineering figure in his life. I'd like you to be able to just give a gauge, OK? Otherwise, kids switch off, it becomes nagging. You know, at this age, and he's going, yeah, it becomes nagging. It becomes nagging, right? You know, it's not about you doing it right this minute, but it is about getting the job done, OK? So if there are things that your mum needs you to do at home, then give a time frame so that you're not nagging him, saying, get it done now, get it done now, get it done now. There may be 3 things, 4 things, but you need them done in 3 hours. Be realistic with what those jobs are and how long they take, and then give a time frame. Can you work with that? That's a healthy compromise. Can you work with that? Yeah. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, my God, give me another handshake. That's what I'm talking about, OK? Give a time frame for that, all right? Are we better with this? Do you love your mum?
Yeah.
Do you? Really love your mum? Then go and give your mum a hug, you know, because right now she's been feeling a little bit sensitive with how you've been behaving. Seriously, she could do with one. She could do with a hug. She could do with a hug.
All right?
You know when you mess up. How do you clean the slate? How do you start fresh? What do people need to hear?
Apologise.
What do you feel?
I don't really feel sorry.
You don't really feel sorry. OK, then if you don't feel sorry and that's what you don't feel, then fair enough. OK, it just goes to show that there's a lot of work to be done with respects to really Jacob understanding the environment that he's been in, the behaviour that you've now seen, and what he needs to learn about that. You've got to stop enabling. Yeah. You've got to put your foot down where rules need to be had and continue to build the relationship. And young man, we've got some work to do with you, OK? We've got some work because there's a lot of detachment there and that needs to be worked on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Nurture. Make sure you subscribe for more modern parenting.